Hey gamers, we're back with another episode of Let's Create a Competitive Card Game. In this episode, we will be coming up with the remainder of the talent card. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so last episode we came up with the first 8 or so talent cards, and the first 8 were just what I'm going to call universal talent cards, which are just cards that can be used by any player regardless of your guild. So I'll go over those effects rather quickly, and also the art description which I sent to the artist, and then we'll take a look at the guild specific talent cards. So the first talent card that we came up with was essentially just a normal draw card. So you would draw 2 cards and then discard 1 card. And the art description, I really didn't have one yet for the artist, and so for cards where I don't have an art description, I just let the artist know, hey, I don't really know, or I don't really have a description in mind, and I give her sort of a little bit of an idea of what the card effect does. So for instance, with this effect that says draw 2 cards then discard 1, essentially told her that this was a card that lets you get more cards to your hand at the expense of 1 card. So don't really give her the exact effect, but pretty much let her know what the effect is. Now the next talent card that we came up with, the effect was that you could play this card if you have not played any other cards this turn, and what the effect was that it destroyed all cards in the now or in play, and you could not play any followers for that turn. So this card, instead of just destroying, say, followers or relics and other items, this card destroys everything, and you cannot play other followers. So it's like a last ditch effort to kind of reset the game. And the art description which I gave the artist was that I wanted something that depicted a huge battle between all the races and something catastrophic happening, which makes everyone in that area retreat in terror. Now the next card effect was you could destroy a target card an opponent controls. So that is a fairly standard card effect in most card games, and in general a lot of the card effects on these talent cards are pretty general card effects which you will find in other games, and they're very similar. I don't want to say they're the same, they're pretty similar to other card effects which may be in several other games. Now the art description which I gave is just maybe a thunderbolt striking something. So a thunderbolt striking, I don't know, vase or anything really. So that part is left up to the artist. Now the next card effect was a simple increase the attack of target card by 2. So again, a very simple effect which you may find in several other games. And again, for this one I really wasn't sure on what I wanted the art to be. So again, I just let the artist know that the card makes another card stronger. And the next card effect was the opposite, which was decrease the defense of the target by 2. And actually, I think I mentioned this last episode too. That's not really the opposite. The opposite would be decreasing attack. So this card decreases the defense of target card by 2. And the art description was maybe some rusted armor. So some rusted armor, maybe in an armory somewhere or anything like that. And the next card effect we came up with was restore 3 life to target non-class card with life. So if you have a follower with life, or you have a relic or companion that has life, this card would restore it their life. And the art description was a ray of light on an injured character. And the next card effect was you could reduce your life by 10 to also reduce your opponent's life by 10. And the wording on this is very specific, as this card does not deal damage. So cards that prevent damage from being dealt to you or anything that stops damage would not stop this card, as this card just simply says that your opponent loses life. So again, that wording is very specific. And the art description was that I wanted an image of a pyromancer playing with fire and maybe hurting themselves or someone or something else. And the last card that we came up with, the effect was you can only play it during the damage assigning phase, and it allows you to remove a defender from combat. So what that means is, say you're attacking with 2 cards and your opponent is defending with, let's just say, 1 card. So essentially, if you remove that defender from this combat, then both of your cards would attack your opponent. So it's a way to get through or reduce the number of defenders to deal more damage, hopefully, to the opponent. And the art description I had was an adult pulling a kid who is running away. So the idea is maybe they're grabbing them by the collar, the back of their shirt or jacket or something as they're trying to rush away. Alright, so those are all of the cards that we came up with last episode, and for this episode I've come up with the guild specific talent cards, and just like last episode I've already gone ahead and kind of put the effects in here as well as the art descriptions, as I did not want to do a long episode of me typing in information, which I have done on a lot of the previous episodes. So again, talent cards are cards that you can play on your turn, and you can also respond to your opponent's skill cards and other card effects on your turn as well. So again, you can only use those cards on your turn. Now, the first few cards are specific to the Mind Guild, and then the next few are Power, followed by Life. So to begin it off, the first talent card effect that I came up with for the Mind Guild was that when an attacking follower you control is destroyed, your opponent has to return a follower to their hand. So again, we're dealing with magicians in the Mind Guild. So say your magician dies, as a last ditch effort, he casts a spell or something to bounce your opponent's card or something like that. And the art description was a warrior stabbing a magician while the magician is in the middle of casting a spell, and the warrior should be disappearing. So as he's stabbing that magician, his body should be dematerializing. And the next card effect is you may return a card you control from play to your hand to select a card your opponent controls and return it to their hand. And the art description which I gave was I wanted a magician in a doorway point. And yeah, so this effect is a pretty powerful effect. So yeah, it's a good thing that it is a one-time use as it is on a talent card, as anytime you return a card you control to your hand, you can technically bounce a card an opponent controls. That is very powerful. Imagine that on, say, a relic. And I think there is a relic that has a very similar effect. Alright, and the final talent card for the Mind Guild that we came up with was when a card is returned from play to your hand, your opponent must return a card of the same type from their side of the field to their hand if they can. So this effect goes really well with the effect of you returning a card you control from play to your hand to also bounce a card that your opponent controls. So if you use both of these together, you can get a +1. And the art description which I gave to the artist was I wanted a magician doing some vanishing magic on relics or something. And I said this time on relics or something as I believe one other time in the art description I have excerpt to show a magician performing some vanishing or disappearing magic. Alright, so to begin with the Power Guild, the first effect I came up with was you get to increase the attack of target warrior card by 3. So this specifically says a class, as the first classes, or one of the first classes for power is warrior. So this is a warrior specific card and not power specific. So the art description which I gave the artist was essentially I just wanted a warrior holding a flaming sword. And honestly, this art description came from the the concept art that I got for the previous relic that I mentioned looked like the flaming swordsman sword. So yeah, that's really where that came from. Now the next talent card for the Power Guild was when warrior cards you control, get 4 attack this turn, while all defending cards are cards with lower cost. And reading that now, I will have to reword this, as the idea is not that all warriors you control get 4 attack this turn. It's more like the warriors that you are attacking with get +4 attack if all defending cards are cards with lower cost. As yeah, it doesn't increase the attack of warriors who are not in a combat. Now the art description which I gave was I wanted 3 warriors surrounding a decrepit farm. That was really the only thing I could think of for this. In the final talent card for the Power Guild, the effect was that the target warrior you control would get 5 attack while all defenders are higher cost. So almost the opposite of the previous card. And the art description which I gave was I wanted a small warrior grabbing a huge sword or something to fight off a group of bigger, tougher opponents. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how the artist draws it. Now to begin with the life talent cards, the first one we had was that you gain 4 life, and all of the talent cards for life will have you gain life, as life really wants to go for that max life win condition. So the art description which I gave was that I wanted a cleric drinking a potion or maybe praying. The next talent card for life, the effect was that you gain 3 life, and if your life is less than your opponent's, you gain 3 more life. So this one may need to be reworded as well, as the idea is you always gain 3 life, and after you gain that 3 life, if your opponent's life is still higher, you gain an additional 3 life. And for this one as well, I was not sure of the art description, so I did let the artist know what the effect for the card was. And I just told her the exact effect, as I couldn't think of a way to word this in a way in which she would understand, other than giving her the exact effect. Now, the last talent card that we came up with, the effect is that you gain 2 life for each cleric you control. So this is definitely a talent card that you want to wait until you have a field full of clerics, or a play area, I should say, full of clerics, as that will definitely give you the maximum benefit from this talent card. And the art description which I gave the artist was that I wanted maybe a group of clerics praying or something to that extent. Alright, so that does it for all of the talent cards within the game. And starting next episode, we will go ahead and come up with the effects for the skill cards. And again, skill cards are cards that you can play at any time on any player's turn. So we'll come up with the universal skill cards, and then we'll come up with the guild specific cards in a different episode. And also I want to mention that I will be coming up with all the card effects first before actually assigning cost and some of the other stats. I do believe I mentioned that before, but I just want to re-mention that. So we will come up with all the card effects and then go and assign things like flavor text, cost, etc. So yeah, that is the end of this episode. If you like these episodes, please be sure to like, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. Thanks.